Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today we're going to start on the dreaded Christmas cards. I know a lot of friends of mine won't have this C word, as we've been referring to it, mentioned, because we're barely into September, but the reality of it is if I don't get started on my Christmas cards now, then I won't get enough made. Also, the ladies that come to my classes have said that they would like to get ahead. We make 4 cards each time in my classes, so by starting in September, that gives them September, October and November to amass 12 Christmas cards. Okay, so one of the sets that I have chosen to use today is called Leaves of Holly. This is a new one out of the July to December seasonal mini catalogue. At first I wasn't very sure about it, and then once I'd sat down and thought about all the different ways that I could use it, I decided that it would be a good purchase. This is the stamp set. As you can see, you've got 4 leaves, some holly berries and some really nice simple Christmas greetings. You've got season's greetings, Christmas wishes, from our home to yours, which I think is always a really nice one to have, to friends near and far, which is equally a nice one. And then you've got joy, peace and the and symbol. It comes with some dies. Just give you a quick look at these. So you get 2 outline dies for the smaller and the larger holly leaf. You also get 2 that cut out sections. You get these little sort of frondy pine needles, I suppose they are really. 2 that cut out the holly berries, so one that cuts out the edge and one that cuts a decorative section to go on top. This here is the blank of these holly leaves, and then these holly leaves are actually attached to a frame which fits the greetings, which is a really nice touch. Okay, so the clever people at Stampin' Up have looked after us, and when I started to play I realised that you can either use the outline dies, small and large, to cut a plain outline, or you can stamp. Now these are 2-part stamping stamps. You can use them on their own, but obviously this one goes with this one, so the 2 big ones together and the 2 small ones together. And I've used Mossy Meadow and Old Olive, so always put your lighter colour down first and then come back in with the dark one. So I did Old Olive first and then Mossy Meadow to get the detail, and if I hold that up, hopefully you can see that's got some really nice detail in that. Again, there are 2 sizes in that, so this is a small one, and for reference this is the big one. So this is where your Stamper Artist comes in really handy. I eyeballed these because I was in a bit of a rush to get them done so I could record this video. But your Stamper Artist will make stamping lots of these holly leaves really easy, because you can line up the base stamp, which is this one here, and then you can go back in over it with the detailed one. They are quite easy to line up because they're photopolymer. Okay, so that's those. They have also, in the dies, you may have noticed that I mentioned these ones that cut out the details. Well, they actually also layer over the outline dies, so you can do this. So that's the big one. And where's my little one? Where's my little one? Here it is. Yeah, so that is the big one and that is the small one. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So again, I've used the same colours but in the cardstock this time. So that is Mossy Meadow. No, sorry, that's Old Olive and that's Mossy Meadow underneath. So there's actually lots of different ways you can use these. So you can just 2-step stamp and cut them out. You can just cut the shape with the background one and then put the layered one over the top. You can just cut the layered one, just to give you an idea. The layered one on its own is actually quite nice. It's almost like a skeleton leaf. Or you can just stamp the detailed section if you don't want to do the 2-step stamping. I mean, I do think that does give it a nice lot of detail. The other thing that I've done is when I die cut these, they always leave a very small white edge around the edge, and I'm not a fan. So because I'm going to use this on a dark coloured card, what I actually did is just went round with the blending brush with Mossy Meadow, which was the darker one of my greens, just to take that whiteness away from the edge. Okay, so that's that. I've then pulled in another couple of sets which have gone over from last year's seasonal. So I've pulled this set in here, which is Christmas season. So this is actually in the annual catalogue now. It was in last year's July to December catalogue. And out of here, I'm just using the pine cone. Again, 2-step stamping here. And this does come with a set of dies to cut the pine cones. And the other one I've used is I've just taken this this little splodge, sort of a splatter. And what I've done with that is I've just gone over my card base and just embossed it. Hopefully that'll pick up the shine with some gold embossing powder. There we go. So I've just stamped that splatter in Versamark and then gone over it with some gold embossing powder. Now my inspiration for this card was one of our new card kits. Something and cozy, or cozy and something. I can't bring up to mind right this instant. But the card kit is very nice, but it's another cost. And if you're on a budget like I am, then I wanted to see if I could replicate what they'd done in the card kit with stuff I already owned. So that's where we're going with this card. Okay, so what we're going to do, as I said, I've stamped that on there, just on the base card. That's just a base card in Mossy Meadow. So standard C6, which is half of an A4 if you're in the UK or Europe. Half of whatever you use if you are not. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to layer up some of my leaves. So the ones I've stamped obviously don't need layering, and I've got 2 large leaves and 1 small leaf. I've then used the dies from I think they're Merriest Moments dies. No, they're not. The Christmas season dies has a set of dies called Christmas labels, and amongst those are some foliage. So I've actually gone ahead and I've cut 2 of each colour. So we've got 2 of these leafy ones and 2 of these longer fronds. So again, 1 in Mossy Meadow, 1 in Old Olive. So I've got those, and these are my ones that I've layered up. So I just need to glue those together. Now, I did find when I was cutting mine that this one dropped out of the die beautifully and all the bits fell out with no problem whatsoever. This one needed a little bit more persuasion. So my top tip is, if your plates are a bit warped, like mine are, in fact, that's a bit of an understatement, mine are a lot warped, then sometimes it's a good idea when you're die cutting to put a shim in. Or if you've got a new set of plates, use your new set of plates. So I've just put a little bit of Tombow on the back there, which is our liquid multi-purpose glue. And then I'm just going to, help if I did it on the right one, wouldn't it? I'm just going to line these up. So you can see that they mirror the outside of the framelit. Okay, that's that one. Let's just put some glue on this one. Now, I have actually had to get my craft knife out on this one to finish popping out the rest of the pieces, which is not a problem because the lower part of it is going to be covered up. And again, that one just lines up. Okay. Now, I know there's some, oh, goodness me. I know there's some glue squidging out there. Probably should have used my fine tip glue, but you live and learn, don't you? Okay, I'll just try and make sure that stem is lined up at the bottom. Again, we're not going to see those, but let's try and do it nicely. That glue will dry clear, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Just going to show you on this one. This is one of the larger leaves, and I'm just going to show you so you can see where these bits have cut through and these bits here haven't. Hopefully you can see that there. Look, that hasn't cut through. So sometimes if you're not sure if it's cut through or not, if you turn your die over with the cardstock still in it, you can see if the line is a clean line like that one is, which I can get my thumb under, or if it isn't, like this one here. Look, you can see that's not a clean line there. So that's something to bear in mind. You can usually, if you pick it up carefully, run it back through again, especially that one because it didn't really want to come out of the die, to be fair. I had to poke it out. Right, I'm going to use some dimensionals. These are fairly biggish leaves, so I'm going to come in with my standard dimensionals for these ones. Don't forget to use the edges. Okay, I'm just adding some dimensionals to that. Now, I did offer this up, if you like, to the card before I decided where to stamp my gold bits. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the two big leaves up in this left corner here and sort of across into the middle like that. And like that. Oh. I'll have that little bit of gold peeping in there. And then the smaller leaf I'm going to put down the bottom, so I'm going to turn that upside down. And I've got that in there, hopefully you can see, so you can still see the gold, and there's a little tiny bit of it peeping up there. I should have probably done some more up there. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my two-part leaves. I'm now absolutely covered in glue. Probably should add I'm a really messy crafter. Also had a very busy weekend, which makes me really tired. Okay, so that one's going to go up there like that. So we've avoided that gold. And this one's going to come down here, and I'm just going to tuck it in. Just make sure you don't go over the edge of the card. So I'm going to tuck that one in there. So yeah, we are covering up a reasonable amount of that gold, but you know, you could just stamp randomly all over if you wanted to. And then I've got my 4 leaves that are two the same but in different colours. And for these, I'm actually going to use some mini dimensionals because I don't want any dimensionals hanging over the sides. And these will actually just fit a little bit better on these thinner sprigs. Okay, I'll put that one in there. And you can probably tell I'm not a fan of using a million dimensionals on one leaf. Less is more in this case. Mostly more is more in my house, but there you go. Okay, so then what we're going to do, we're just going to slip these in to any gaps, basically. So I'm going to pop, I think I'm going to pop that one in there like that. And what I'm doing is I'm putting the opposite colours at each end. So we've got a light and a dark one of each of these, and these are just, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So I'm using the bigger ones first. As a general rule of thumb, the same as when you're stamping a one sheet wonder, if you use your bigger images first, then you can sort of fill in the gaps with the smaller ones. Just tucking that stem under there. Now don't worry about this untidy mess in the middle because we are going to cover that up. Okay, and I think we will have our other little one. Can I get that in under there? Yes, but just again, make sure that you aren't coming too far over the card. Actually, that's not going to really work in there, is it? But I can't put it there. I might pop it in here, actually. Nope. No, I'll go back to the original plan, I think, and we'll pop it down there. Okay, so that's our sort of sprigginess, if you like. And then what I'm going to do, I've used the pine cone. I've used the larger one. And I'm just going to use some bigger dimensionals on the back of that. And that is going to do the job of covering up our mess in the middle, basically. Now, you could use a greeting to cover up the gap in the middle. But I fancied the little pine cone, or the big pine cone I should say, at a bit of a jaunty angle. And that's our finished card. I will obviously put a white inner. This one's too big, it needs to be cut down, but just so you get the idea, I will put a white inner inside the card, and I'll stamp a sentiment on the inside of the card. But as I said before, instead of using the pine cone, you could use one of the labels. And actually the set that pine cone came from, I can just grab the dies out to show you. This has lots. So this is seasonal labels dies. So as you can see, there are lots of labels that would have fitted in the middle of there. You could have used that. I could have used that one. I could have used that one across the middle, and I could have used that one across the middle, or even that one across the middle. So the options are endless. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, that's my take on the kit card. So we haven't got all of the elements. It had cinnamon sticks and orange slices in it, and lemons, which didn't really shout Christmas to me. Obviously Thanksgiving maybe a bit more, but I wanted sort of traditional English Christmas, hence the holly leaves. So hope you like the card, and I will be back soon with some more new Christmassy bits for you to see, and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Happy stamping.